Hey students, how you doing? Okay, so you received your kits, thank God. Okay, these are going on YouTube, you know that. If other people get a hold of this, we're teaching from home because of the pandemic. So my students are all getting every single one of their procedures, their educational classes, everything on YouTube. This is how I would do it in the school. The difficult part is coming up to each individual student to make sure they have it, to make sure that they've gotten the information. So what we're going to do is everything is in tiny baby steps. Everything is going to have to be diagrammed. Everything is going to have to be written down. And then we're going to talk about it during our class time, when we're on our teams and our zone meetings and so on. So for this, you need to take notes because we will be talking about it. Today what we're going to do is we're going to review. We're going to review the zero elevation haircut. I'm hoping that you guys watch that video. We're going to talk about the shampooing. I can't take you over to the shampoo ball because it's crazy, but if you saw the shampoo video, teaches you how to shampoo and how to properly drape a client for a haircut. Now the only difference between a haircut and a chemical is the drape. If you're going to do a cut, you're just going to use that Sanastrip, just like it did it on the video. If you're going to do a chemical, in other words, a perm or a color, or a highlight, or a relaxer, you're going to put, and this is an option, you can put the Sanastrip on, but you're definitely going to put a towel first. And it's towel, drape, towel for a chemical. That's how it's asked on state board. Towel, drape, towel. Now if it asks for a Sanastrip, then that would be the correct answer along with the towel. So it just depends on how they word it, but it is towel, drape, towel. When you're just doing a haircut, it's just the Sanastrip and the drape, all right? Purpose of the Sanastrip, remember, is to protect the client. That cape is very likely going to touch more than one person, and that's where they definitely touch on the skin. Now, all of you received, now we've got to get the camera ready for this, but you all received your mannequin stand. It looks like this. Now, the reason it's going up and down is because this lever here tightens that and keeps it from going up and down. This area, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. All right? Left makes it loose, right makes it tight. All right? So left is going towards the left hand, right is going towards the right hand. Now I'm going to bring it down here. So I'm going to let my cameraman get that ready and hold it down because I want you to see how you're going to place it. This goes on the edge. See it? And I'm going to tighten it up, righty-tighty. It's going up. Hang on. There you go. And you want to get it tight to where you can't turn it anymore. Now if I want the mannequin up higher, there it is. If I want the mannequin lower, I loosen that and the mannequin drops down. If I want it halfway up, I tighten it right there. You have to make sure this is tight because the more you mess with the mannequin, it tends to loosen sometimes. This lever on this side, let me get this mannequin off of here. Let me loosen it up now. Lefty-loosey. Okay. Oops. Very careful. Tighten that up so it doesn't go up and down. This lever here, if you want your mannequin, now see they do move back and forth. That's what makes it nice. Same thing with this one. It does move back and forth. If the end of the table is in the way, just move it over to the other side. So on this end of it, the mannequin's going to go here, but let's say we want the mannequin's head to go down. There you go. And then you tighten it. Let's say we want the mannequin's head to come back up, and then you tighten it. So this is a really, really nice mannequin stand. because it's going to do it all for you. Like that, it'll bring it up, it'll bring it down, and you don't have to kill yourself working on it. I'm hoping that your tables aren't this low, because yeah, you're going to have it all the way up all the time, and when you do the zero elevation, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult for you. So I want to make sure that you understand this. This is where you brace it onto the table, and it'll go quite a bit way down. Okay, goes down quite a bit. You'll see it's going way down, and then so it'll go down this far. So you can have a pretty thick table. And then to tighten it, and I guess I was wrong. This one is backwards. This one is lefty-tighty, righty-loosey. Because see, I'm turning it to the left side, and it's coming up. So this one's a little bit different, and I apologize for that. It's not their fault, though. They don't know lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, maybe. So see, this will go all the way up to a real thin surface if you want. Keep in mind, when it goes up and down, this lever here, and see, that keeps it from falling off. All right, this little round thing on the bottom there keeps it from falling out. So then you would tighten it. All right? So just keep this in mind. This is for the neck. This is for it to go back and forth if you wanted to. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to go over, there's going to be terms that we're going to use all the time. They're going to become very common terms. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about, now we're going to do it this way first, and then I teach you the way the book has it. This towel is full of color, so don't be too surprised with it. So I'm going to erase that. On your kits, make sure, please, that you mark everything. How many combs did you get? Mark it down. Count them. Strongly recommend. Now, you should have all gotten 3 mannequins unless they've changed it. You want to make sure and put your name on your mannequin. And my recommendation is put it in the back. And possibly, if this one is a little different, but you could put it on the bottom. Don't mark her all up with your name, all right? Another place you could put it is maybe behind the ear. But make sure that it's identified to you, because all I can tell you is these mannequins tend to grow legs when you get into the school, and they just walk away and disappear. So make sure that you take care of it. Now, I love my stand. See, my stand will go up even higher if I wanted to. Okay, and lower if I wanted to. So these are a little bit more expensive, and you know, I did a lot of work with these, so I have them. I love them. But anyways, let's talk about diagramming first, because we're going to review the zero elevation haircut. There's going to be terms that I want to teach you that when I'm talking to you, I want you to know what I'm saying. I want you to understand it so that we can then communicate continually together. The thing about the zero elevation haircut is one thing it teaches you. I could loosen this and turn her around, but I just, out of habit, just do it that way. The one thing that you're going to learn, remember, you're not doing a haircut right now. You're learning a procedure. Do not take off more than 1 inch. That's it. 1 inch, if you look at your comb, it's got little notches, and that will be 1 inch. Another 1 inch is this area right here on your own finger. So how much is 1 inch? You're not taking off very much. And this hair on the top is not going to reach. So you'll run out of hair before you're finished. But the biggest thing here is you're learning a procedure, a how-to. Remember, we practiced holding the shears. We practiced bringing them straight up, and we practiced bringing them straight down. So what I'm going to do right now is I've got to have my cameraman, honey, would you get on that top drawer on that brown shelf and get me a pair of shears? I put them all away. Yeah, I did. They're not in here. And by the way, this is a rollabout, you guys. I was telling you about Sally's. I don't know if you can see it or not. I mean, I'll have the other side. It's on the other side. Open the door. Pull out the top drawer. Top. All the way to the, no, not that one. Just put your hand underneath that. Do you see the top drawer? There you go. Is it? Do you not see? Okay. Do you see anything with shears in there? Yes, thank you. Those are texture shears. Bring those and the other hair cutting. Oh, okay. Good idea. Just bring the whole thing out here. Thank you. Okay, and these classes are going to be casual like this, ladies. So don't, we're not going to make it fancy. We're here. I'm here to teach you. So there's all types of shears. When you got your shears, these were your regular shears. Now these aren't. These are pretty fancy. Were a lot more expensive. Believe it or not, these cost even more. These are like about $400 pair of shears. I think I only paid $250 for these. But anyways, and these are matching. They match and whatever. And then you have what is called your texture shear, which is different. Your texture shear is going to have what we call a comb. That's called a comb right there. Those little edges are the sharp edges on the ends that are going to cut the hair. When they come down to cut the hair, when they come down, they're only going to cut in these little tiny edges. The rest of the hairs will go in between the comb. It's pretty fascinating. This is called a texture shear. What you're going to learn when we do this, and I'm going to be talking about it a whole lot, is this helps the direction of the hair. If you watch some of my other videos, you'll see me use them quite a bit. They're not used enough in a salon. A lot of people want to go in and just notch, and that takes practice. That takes knowing what you're doing. Because if I were to go in, this is what notching is, all right? Notching is just going in and cutting like in that form, or picking up the hair and going in and cutting. Well, do you realize how many little short pieces that are going to be really thick that are going to stick out there? Where with your texture shear, you've got very fine, very thin pieces, and I will show you how to use them. You have the option of both, all right? Only if you have to. Only if you have to notch. My preference is to use a texture shear. And the texture shears, as you can see, this one, the teeth are a little bit further apart. See it? And you're going to hold them exactly the same way. All right? The top blade is a movable blade, pushes the hair down to cut. All right? So keep that in mind for your texture shear. Top blade, movable blade, that's your thumb. Your thumb is moving. I know my fingers are moving. After so many years, you're supposed to hold it real tight, not move it, but just know how to do the cut. That's more important. Okay, so, and I shared with you guys about my razor. This is a little bit different than what you've got. This is my Tondeo. You'll see me do some razor work. In the end, when we've done all the haircuts, you'll be using your razor. It makes it really, really difficult because your razors that came in that little orange packet that you got are different than this. So please don't mess with it until the time is right to do so. When I teach students how to use a razor, it's pretty much 2 or 3 students at a time. It's never the whole class, because if you cut yourself with that, you're going to cut yourself deep. So you have to be very, very careful. Please, when you're cutting either with a shear or a razor, please keep Band-Aids close by, because it's going to happen. That's even, I still cut myself. So, don't be surprised when you do, but just be careful when you do. Another factor about hair cutting, this is another shear, you never cut past the first major knuckle right there, all right? You never cut past that. So you're always cutting 1 to 2 inch increments, period. When we get ready to do this zero elevation again today, I'm just going to quickly show you how to do it again. That's all we're going to do. We're just going to cut in increments like that. That's it. Notice that I'm still, what position is this? Does anybody remember? All right, anybody remember? Come on. Secondary, thank you. Okay, so let's bring this down. And before we start cutting, what are we going to do? What is it that I told you that you have to do with every single haircut? You have to write down the directions. You have to know when to go back and say, wait a minute, did I do that? Did I do it right? All right, so where are we? Question mark, number 1 and number 2. And we want to put the ear in there because the ear is going to be very important for a point of measure on how we measure the hair. We're going to subsection at the parietal line. We're going to subsection off at the flat part of the head. You notice I'm saying subsections. Normally what we do is we do something called 4 quadrants. We go from the center frontal to center nape. From the tip of the ear on one side to the tip of the ear on the other side, and you have 4 sections. Okay, that's an awful lot of area to cover at one time. So I break it down into smaller pieces. Let's say that we did that. All right? Then I would say subsection, these are sections, all right? From the tip of the ear to the center occipital. Then now this becomes, within this section, a subsection. So I'm only working the occipital to the crown area. Occipital to the nape area would be your section or subsection underneath. So these terms are going to be used. It's you, as a student, that are going to learn this. So at this point, we section off the parietal line and we subsection off the flat part of the head, and we're going to section from tip of the ear to tip of the ear horizontally. In other words, center nape. Not tip of the ear to tip of the ear vertically, but tip of the ear to tip of the ear horizontally, and we're going to pull that hair up. When we start the cut, these are our sections. I'm sorry, before we start the cut, we are going to section off the nape. So, top, flat, occipital. Those are both the occipital line, and then the nape. All right, I'm not going to write them for you. You write them. You've got to know where you're at. I know where I'm at. I've taught you this. You should have gotten it by now. You should be studying it. You should be looking at people with hair on top of their head and trying to determine where that's at. That's good practice for you. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, let me draw the back of the head here. And you see that back nape. I'm going to put her ears in there. Okay, so we've sectioned the parietal area, sectioned off the flat part of the head, and then tip of the ear to tip of the ear horizontally, and then there's our nape. This is the nape line. The first thing we're going to do is section off right at the center nape. That's it. So I'm going to section the mannequin now. I'm going to do exactly what I've told you to do, and I'm going to do it on the mannequin. So if you'll just watch, pay attention. Now you remember where the parietal line starts. Remember, this hair grows back. As soon as you see that it's growing down, that is your parietal line. This hair right here is your parietal line. So we're going to travel all the way around. Go ahead and loosen this and turn her. And I'm going to take this, there you go, at the nape. Sorry, at the parietal line, not the nape. And you want to get your lines as clean as you can. Get them just as sharp and clean as you can so you can see it. You're going to wrap this around. You're going to take what are called duckbill clips. These are called duckbill. All right? They're long. They look like a duckbill. You're going to anchor it. And then I'm going to take, I went down a little too far right there, and you can see it. You can see how I went a little too far. Okay. Make sure that you don't, because I'm going to be grading you. All right, I'll clean it up. You made me feel guilty. All right, there you go. Nice clean line. And the best way to do it, actually, where is it? is with your rat tail comb. These are called rat tail combs. These are called weaving combs for foil weaves. So you're going to get your rat tail comb, and look at how much cleaner a line it creates by using the rat tail comb. Much nicer, straighter, a little bit more uniform, and much cleaner. You just kind of rest it on the scalp. You don't put it away from the scalp. You rest it on the scalp and just kind of smooth it all the way across there. So see a much cleaner, nicer line. All right, so I'm going to get my duckbill clips. There you go. Now I'm going to subsection at the flat part of the head. All right, and I'm taking it slightly to the area. Oh boy. And mine does the same thing that yours does. Okay, taking it slightly to the area. And try not to put your comb down. You want to practice palming your comb. That's called palming your comb. So when you're not sectioning, then you put it on your other hand and palm it. Now with your shears, one of the things that we did once we start cutting, I'm going to take the texture shear to do it when you're cutting. See, I'm going to hold the comb like that. This is palming your shear. You take the thumb out. Okay, you take the thumb out and you palm your shear. So I'm going to take this right at the area behind the ear. And I'm going to bring it forward, palm my comb. Now it makes it difficult to pick up the clip, but do I pick it up? Yes. And you have to get used to it. This takes practice. This isn't something you are going to fumble. Everybody does. So don't get too upset with yourself about it. All right, so we're going to do the other side. Want to make sure that's clean. This clip, duckbill clip, again, right at the flat part of the head. Bring it forward and out of the way. All right, now, like I said, tip of the ear to tip of the ear subsection. And what should I do? I'm going to go ahead and put my shear down because this is going to create problems if I don't. You only put it down when you absolutely have to. So there's the tip of the ear. There you go. Nice clean line. Do you see what that did? Very nice, very clean. Okay, tip of the ear right there. Bring it around. Very nice, very clean. Okay, I drew it up a little bit. There you go. All right, so that becomes a subsection. Back at the occipital, almost into the crown. All right, take my duckbill, hold that up. Now I'm going to section off, and my little happy face, see how easy that happens? Look, I'm right there. Bring it down. And I told you it does it by itself. So in order to do this, you've got to see what you're cutting. If you can't see what you're cutting, don't cut. The other factor is, make sure your shear is straight. If you bend down, it's going to do this. Make sure it's straight. You notice right away I brought my elbow in. So I can see it straight. Now I'm hoping it's showing it straight on the camera. But what I'm going to do, and you'll do the same thing, you're going to pull your mannequin up. Oops, wrong one. Put my shear down again. It's the only when you have to. You do that. There you go. I want this up, way up so I can see it. If you have to sit down to see this, please do so. When you're on the salon floor, do they want you sitting down? No. Okay, so you notice this area here travels around. Travels around. When we're doing the zero elevation haircut, you're going to first center nape. 5 minutes? Okay, so I need to get on with this. And I'm reviewing the cut, all right? All our videos are only going to be 30 minutes. We'll lose you after 30 minutes. So we're going to try and time everything so that we're doing it within a 30-minute area. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, section it off, just my finger, and then press this. All right, you got it? Just like you're doing scissors, press it though. All right, so very center nape. I'm going to get this hair out of the way, and you can clip it out of the way if it's bugging you. Make sure that is straight, that is straight. My shears are straight, and it makes it harder when I have it on the camera. And that's all I'm cutting. Then I'm going to, you notice I moved over to the side. I am not bringing this hair back. When hair travels, it becomes longer. If this travels back, it will become longer than this one. We're doing a straight zero haircut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to travel down. This last haircut is my guide. I am now kind of at a diagonal to the head form. I'm at an angle. Look at my fingers. My fingers are not like that anymore. They've turned. They're working around the head form. Do not cut past the second knuckle. Now I'm on the side of the head. And you want to make sure that the hair is uniformly wet. Because if you have some dry, some wet, the wet's going to stretch, the dry is not. So we want to make sure it comes straight down. All right? I'm going to turn this around. And if you have a lot of hair, put this in half. If you don't have a lot of hair, don't worry about it so much. See, I don't have a lot of hair here, but I still want you to learn the procedure. Now I'm on the flat part of the head. So now I'm here. So I'm coming straight down. That's my guide, the last haircut. Don't cut past the second knuckle. Travel forward. There you go. Don't cut past, I'm hoping that you guys can see this. Can it be seen, cameraman? Is my arm in the way? Is my arm in the way?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. All right, students, you just have to make sure that it is perfectly straight. How am I going to do this? I'm just going to bend over like that. How's that? Now this becomes my guide. The other side, I'm cutting forward. This side, I'm cutting going back. All right, watch. It's going back. Sorry about my arm. All right, now this side, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop it all down because of time. Now what I want you to do is I want you to do the zero elevation 3 times. I want you to follow these steps exactly. Because I'm going to ask you, how do you hold the hair at the nape? How do you hold it at the nape behind the ear? How do you hold it on the flat part of the head? Okay? Now I'm going to drop this section, and I can guarantee you that the top is not going to reach. Because I'm going to drop that too, and you can see, I'm going to show it to you, there's not a lot of hair there to cut. And I'm going to follow the exact same procedure. However, this time, I'm combing the hair down from the vertex, and you have to stand in front of what you're cutting. When we're doing a video, it makes it really hard to stand in front of what we're cutting, because I'm trying to show you and trying to do it at the same time. Okay, now can you see how much I need to cut? It's just very little. So I am going to bring it straight down, make sure that I'm at the center nape, that's straight, travel around it, that's straight. In other words, we're not doing this, all right? Straight down.
10 seconds.
And you can see your guide. Take care, guys. We'll blow dry it tomorrow.